if you are 25 and if you are going to some MBA college today, you must be some kind of idiot. I am myself an alumnus of IIM Lucknow. When we talk about ROI of an MBA, then we should do a fair treatment with it. Even I think sometimes that what AI is going to do with all of us, whether we should do MBA or whether we should stay in our job. This is how you can decide whether you want to go for an MBA or not. Hello everyone, welcome to this video. Today we are going to discuss a very special topic, which is MBA versus staying at your job. This decision is very crucial because if you are a working professional, then it often comes to our mind that whether I should stay over here or I should do an MBA to probably take a leap in my career. Similarly, if we are someone who is a pre-final year student or a final year student in our undergraduation, then also we tend to think that whether I should take a job and start earning or should I wait and do 2 years of more education by doing an MBA. Well, today we are going to answer this very important question once and for all. So join me in decoding this career dilemma, which is MBA versus staying at a job. So just to give you a brief, in this video we will cover 6 different dimensions, that is ROI of MBA, then career trajectory for someone who has pursued MBA and someone who is not going to do MBA, what the career trajectory looks like. Then we will talk about the age of AI, very important one. Then we will talk about the founder's office role. Some of you might be aware of the fact that in today's scenario, there are many job opportunities of roles like founder's office or chief of staff. They are considered equivalent of MBAs. So how to interpret these opportunities, we'll talk about that. Then we will talk about entrepreneurship or MBA, and then we will finally conclude our video by talking about some influencers' view on MBA. So I will take you through some of them. Let us first of all start with the very important one, ROI of MBA. ROI or return on investment. See, in today's scenario, there are very heated debates. There are debates on various fronts that some people say investment in MBA does make sense. Some say it does not. So basically, first of all, what do we mean by return on investment? I'm quite sure this is something very basic. All of us must be knowing that when we invest some money into some project, into some enterprise, into something, and then whatever we earn out of it, that is called return on investment. We do it in share markets. We do it in properties. We see how sharks in Shark Tank India do in different ventures in that so-called celebrated episode series. Now, one thing is very common, all of them or all of us invest somewhere and then we wait. It is not like the moment you buy a share, you start calculating the ROI. It is not like the moment we buy a property, we start calculating the ROI. We need to have some patience. Then why are we doing this in the case of MBA? We spend somewhere around 25 to 30 lakh rupees for our MBA, and then we try to judge the ROI by the very first placement itself. Now, even if I do so, there are plenty of B schools, MBA schools, which do justify their importance on this parameter as well. If I talk about the top B schools of our country, the fees of their entire course stands somewhere around, if I'm talking about the maximum as well, it stands somewhere around 26 or 27 LPA. But when I talk about the average package, not the highest one, they tend to be somewhere around 33 or 34 LPA, lakh per annum. So, there is ROI, that too positive ROI. But let me not even talk about that. The thing is, when we compare MBA's ROI with other courses, I have seen this in my own personal experience that we generally compare them with institutes like IITs. We compare them with institutes like AIMS. Now the problem is that when you compare your ROI for IIT with the ROI of MBA college, IITs are very subsidized. So whatever fees a student pays over there, it is not the actual cost of that course. And that is why that ROI, there is a huge gap between that. But when we talk about MBA, the actual ROI is not just the salary. It is also about the career acceleration. What I mean by that is, MBA helps you to compress your career trajectory from 8 to 10 years to probably 3 to 5 years. Once you do your MBA, you unlock your chances to get into mid-management roles. You unlock your chances to get into strategy level roles. Now that is the ROI of MBA. Now let me take an example. If I am someone who is earning probably 15 LPA, fine. And if I am someone who does an MBA from a decent school, and if I land at a package of probably say 25 LPA, fine. Now see, if I calculate my lifetime earnings over there, now my increments over 15 LPA. Suppose today I am at a package of 15 LPA. Now next year there will be some increment. Next year there will be some increment. I may switch some jobs here and there. Then probably in 8 to 10 years of my lifetime or my span, my earnings when I start from this package compared to my earnings when I start from this package will be huge. So this might be a 10 LPA difference over here, but in a span of 8 years, this may cross 1 CR. So the ROI is in the long term, and that is why we need to see the lifetime earnings as well. Similarly, there is another aspect of ROI, which is compounding network. So what I mean by that is, MBA does give you job security. Now this is a very big statement that I am making over here, but yes, MBA gives you job security. How? See, I am myself an alumnus of IIM Lucknow. So I have experienced this firsthand. When you go to a good or premium school, you make a network. Now you are always connected to that network. Now what happens is that there are so many alums of that particular B school in so many organizations. Now this is a general practice that most of them, whenever they have any opening in their organization, before posting it anywhere else, they also inform you within a private group or private setting kind of thing, where you are aware that yes, in this organization there is a recent vacancy for this particular opening. Now sir, how that translates to job security? Because wherever I am doing my job today, if someday I want to go to some another organization, or probably if someday my current organization bids me goodbye and I need to go to somewhere else, I always have access to a very potential network. And that is how you get that job security, that no matter how the market is running, no matter how the circumstances are, what the circumstances are, I'm always going to get a job. Now how decent it is, how you will rate it as per your expectation during that time, that depends, but job security is there. So yes, it does give you that, and that is a very premium advantage of an MBA. And then there are intangible assets that, for example, when we do an MBA from a good school, from a good B school, or simply if we do an MBA, recruiters perceive us in a different manner. If I do an MBA, irrespective of wherever I do it from, recruiters always have a tendency that this particular person must be having some knowledge about how businesses are run, how businesses operate in different environments, what are the different kinds of settings in different domains, may it be financial, HR, marketing, etc. So that perception of recruiter places you and gives you a premium when it comes to jobs or recruitments in general. So guys, the point that I'm trying to make over here is that when we talk about ROI of an MBA, then we should do a fair treatment with it. Just like we treat any other return on investment, we see it in the long term. And similarly, we should treat the ROI of an MBA in the long term. And that is where it would definitely make sense. Now, let us talk about the second dimension, that is career trajectory of an MBA versus non-MBA. Here, one thing that we have already talked about is salary growth. So, more often in non-MBA roles, our salary would be linear in nature. That salary growth would be linear. Now, sir, does it happen in every case? No, not really. There are many instances, there are many cases where even if a person is not an MBA, the salaries are really, really impressive. But for that, you need to have some signal for the recruiters. Probably you have worked into a startup, probably you have handled large projects, probably you have displayed your excellent expertise into doing something. So either do that or probably get something which is difficult to get. For example, doing a certification from some very reputed institution. It may not be MBA, it may be some technical expertise, but there has to be some signal for the recruiters, for the society in general to say, yes, I'm capable of achieving something remarkable. And that is how you get that salary growth. You get that pay slips in your bank accounts. Now, talking about the next dimension, access to elite hiring. Now, unfortunately, this is what it is, that in India, even if today you want to get access to certain opportunities, the recruiters say that you have to be from some class of institutions. For example, if I want to get into product management roles, they want that technical expertise with me. And that is why they sometimes set some filters. For example, you must be from IITs, NITs, some tier one technical institution. If you want to go into business side of an organization, you must be from some tier 1 MBA colleges. So if you do a very good degree, for example, if you want to go into business roles for even a mediocre organization, they expect an MBA from you, even if it is not a tier 1 organization. So basically, there are certain certifications, there are certain credibility features which endorse that yes, you are capable of doing something, and we need to have that. So the third dimension is satisfaction. Now, this is very tricky. Huh? So, will MBA give you satisfaction in your job? Not necessarily. So, whether you are an MBA, whether you are not an MBA, will you be satisfied in your job? That depends. Because satisfaction is an altogether different genre, and that comes through different things. Some people may get it from money, but then attaining money is also not related to MBA in most of the aspects. But there is a thing. For example, suppose I am an analyst. I'm doing numbers and numbers. Now I'm done with my job. I feel like, no, I do not want to do numbers anymore. Suppose I'm a coder and I'm like, I do not want to do coding anymore. I'm not getting satisfaction in what I'm doing currently. Then we want to explore different dimensions of how we work in an organization. Probably I want to go into HR. Probably I want to go into product management. Probably I want to go into some finance related stuff. Now, very interestingly, MBA is one such thing which gives you that freedom. And MBA gives you that opportunity to change your domain. And this is why most people do MBA. So if we are stuck into one particular domain and that domain does not really excite us anymore to daily go and punch in and do that work, we can do MBA, because MBA gives you that freedom to probably change your domain and explore something else. So yes, satisfaction even then may not be guaranteed, but yes, one thing is for sure, that you can seek satisfaction into different dimensions. So yes, this is how you can decide whether you want to go for an MBA or not. First is salary. Second is, if you are aspiring for some kind of role and there is an entry barrier, fortunately or unfortunately, because of how our recruitment system works, and if you think the current domain does not excite you anymore, and if you want to change any of these, MBA is one of the very promising options. Now let me talk about a very different dimension, which is the age of AI, artificial intelligence. Well, I think this is a very valid fear. Even I think sometimes that what AI is going to do with all of us. But then when I see the history of how times have been, it probably gives me a bit of a comfort. Why so? Because when I talk about probably Henry Ford, most of you might know him, most of you might not know him, but we might know there is a brand of car which is called Ford. So Henry Ford was the founder. Now he was the very first person who introduced assembly line in car manufacturing. Just to give you a brief, before assembly line, whatever car we see, their assembling has to be done. For example, tire needs to be fitted in, seats need to be fitted in, gates need to, so it has to be assembled. Now earlier it was a manual work, but Henry Ford introduced assembly line. Everything was automated. There was no any further need of people to actually do that work. And people were very fearful that it will eliminate all the jobs in the automotive industry. Similarly, then you must be very well aware of how computer came into being, how Excel came into being. But Excel did not kill the accountants. Google, where we can search anything, it was anticipated that now when Google is there, there is no need of consultants. But Google did not kill the consultants. And similarly, Power BI did not kill the analyst. So will AI vanish, will eliminate, will eat all the jobs? Certainly not. So what is required? Sir, what we should do now then? If you're saying AI will do this, AI will not do this, what should we do? Just tell us whether we should do MBA or whether we should stay in our job. So basically, reframe your question. How? You should reframe it that what should I do for upskilling myself? Guys, the age of AI is the age of upskilling. Forget ourselves. There are companies who did not try to upskill themselves, who did not try to evolve with changing times, and they got vanished. We all know what happened with BlackBerry. We all know what happened with Nokia, what happened with Kodak probably. So forget about humans, forget about you and me. Companies have vanished. So this is the age of AI. This is the age of upskilling. So ask yourself, how should I upskill myself? How should I upskill myself? Now, if the answer is, I want to go deeper into AI, the technicalities of AI, then do some technical course, do some technical certification, get some training of that. If you think, no, this is a very difficult time, not only people, even organizations, even enterprises are finding it very difficult how to walk through this, how to maintain their status quo. And if you want to lead such businesses in this difficult time, go and get an MBA. MBA is what teaches you how to deal with these dynamic scenarios. So the correct question is how to upskill myself. Then you will get an answer what I want to upskill. And whatever you want to upskill, just do that. But please upskill yourself. If you want to do nothing, eat 5-star. Yes, fine. Now there is one myth that I want to break. It is generally being said that MBAs, what people do after MBA, they make certain PPTs, they make certain Excel sheets. Now AI can do that, and that is why MBAs are not required. Well, unfortunately, this is partially true. There are some students who actually do not learn anything in MBA school, and even after paying such a huge amount of money, they eventually come out with the learning of how to make PPTs and Excel sheets. But since long, companies or recruiters were never so fool that they will give someone 30 LPA, 35 LPA just to make PPTs or Excel sheets. So basically what MBA teaches you, it teaches you the content. It teaches you what to put in a PPT, what should be the content, and not how to create one. So PowerPoint presentations and Excel sheets are a way to present what my thinking is, how I think, what I want to do in future. But making a PowerPoint was never the main purpose, was never the core point. So yes, AI is there. Now there is a very one interesting question for me to all of you. Suppose there is a company and there are 10 analysts and 1 manager. 10 analysts, 1 manager. Now in the so-called age of AI, the company wants to fire some people to save some cost. Whom it would fire? Probably a few analysts or that 1 manager. Yes, I know the answer depends, but in most of the situation, what the practical scenario would be. And that is what is the true reality of AI. I hope this answers most of your anticipations or most of your questions, reservations with respect to what we should do in this dynamic scenario. Fine. Let me move on to the next dimension, which is founder's office role. So there are a few people, there are certain opportunities nowadays which are evolving, which are surfacing very frequently. These are called founder's office jobs or chief of staff jobs. Now, these are very good. My take on this is, if you get such an opportunity, if you get yourself such a job, these are very good equivalent of MBAs. They give you all that exposure that an MBA can give, and yes, it is worth delaying your MBA, or it is worth not doing your MBA if you get some decent roles like this. But then beware of the fake jobs. I have seen on LinkedIn, I have seen on Naukri.com, there are many jobs which say that they are hiring from founder's office, they are hiring for chief of staff, but then at the end, they are essentially some very miniature roles into some particular domain. I recently saw one hiring which was like, we are hiring a founder's office role for our sales team. And when I deep dive further, it was simply a telecalling kind of job where you had to call people. I'm not saying it is a good job or it is bad job, but then it is not a founder's office role. A founder's office role gives you a larger exposure of how the organization works. So beware of such kind of roles. And also, many a times, whenever a good company or a good organization floats, announces that yes, we are hiring for chief of staff, then again there is an entry barrier, that you have to have some degree, you have to have some you have to have done some course from a premium institution, whether it be technical, whether it be managerial. So if you think you are aspiring for such roles, but certain degree, certain upskilling is preventing you from getting into that, from getting that seat, please upskill yourself. Now, it brings me to the next dimension of our video, which is entrepreneurship. Sir, I want to pursue entrepreneurship. I want to start my own venture. Should I do that or should I do an MBA? Frankly speaking, if you do something, if you learn by doing, nothing can beat that. So if you are very sure that yes, this is what my idea is, there is a very solid conviction that yes, my idea is going to work, my dear friend, please go and pursue your venture. Leave everything else. Leave your job, leave your degree, leave your MBA, leave your everything. Just follow that. However, if we are into dilemma that whether I should start, whether I have the resources, whether I have the network, whether I want to start my venture now or probably at some point of time in future, then upskill yourself. So my entire thing boils down to upskilling, because without upskilling, you are going to get obsolete. No one is going to require you forever. You need to upskill yourself. You need to have the very latest weapons with you to probably fight this world. So upskill yourself in whatever way is required. MBA clearly is one of the options, but not the only option. But if you are very clear about your idea, about your venture, go pursue that. Don't worry about anything. If you are not sure, MBA can be one of the ideas because it gives you that network. MBA also gives you credibility. What happens is that you might observe it in various circumstances. As a founder, if I go to some venture capitalist or someone and I ask for some funds, that this is my idea, I need some funds. Now, if I say that yes, I come from this school, I come from this institution where I have studied, it enhances my credibility. That person, the person who is going to fund me, does consider me that yes, he should be capable of, because he had some signal. So what actually happens is that when we create when we convert these institutions, when we crack these exams, we send a signal to the recruiters, we send a signal to the society outside that yes, we have done something good that many people are not able to do. So that is the difference that it makes. Now, talking about the last thing, some perspective of some influencers, and I cannot miss the very famous quote by Nikhil Kamath, the founder of Zerodha, who said that if you are 25 and if you are going to some MBA college today, you must be some kind of idiot. His logic was that all the resources, all the learnings that an MBA provides to you are available free of cost on YouTube or probably various other platforms. Now, when it is free to you, why you are paying this much amount of money to learn the same thing. He might be correct in some context, might be not, but probably if it comes about being such a generalistic statement in general, there is a very good analogy which I generally use, and it is called the gym analogy. We go to a gym, we pay for the gym, but the workout can be done for free. But then why we do so? Because if we do it on our own, we may unnecessarily or mistakenly stretch one of our muscles. So basically, when we go to a gym, there is someone who oversees us. There is some guidance that we get. There are some resources that we get. And that is why we pay for the gym. It is not about the workout, it is about the correct workout. Similarly, there is a flight analogy. Why do we pay for flight when we can go to the same destination by train, by bus? Why we are paying that much amount just for that mode of transport? Because it is saving us some time. Yes? Similarly, on YouTube, there are so many videos available. Knowledge is there, but some is correct knowledge, some is incorrect knowledge. There is no structure over there. I may see anything, I may end up wasting my time. I may end up wasting my interest into that thing. And that is why we pay premium for certain thing. The last but not the least is the salon analogy. We all have scissors at our home now. So why do we go to salon? We all have every resource available at our home. Then why do we go to salon for those simple services? Because they help us not do something incorrectly and harm ourselves. And that is what these premium institutions do. They give you that structure, they give you what you need, they save your time, and they give you that credibility. Suppose today I go to Nikhil Kamath, I go to Zerodha, that sir, please give me a job in your organization. Why? Because I have watched all the videos related to stock market. See, these are the links. I have watched everything. Will they give me a job? Well, not. Because you need a credibility for that particular thing. And that is why, dear students, my dear fellows, my dear friends, if you are someone who is thinking about whether I should go and do an MBA or whether I should stay at my job, think along all these dimensions, decide carefully, decide what suits you the best, and most importantly, if you have any personal doubts related to your career, so this is where I'm stuck, this is what I'm currently doing, and these are the kind of roles I want to get into. These are the kind of packages I'm aspiring for. We are there for you. If you need any personal guidance, just type in the comment box IMS and our team will get back to you shortly. I hope this video will definitely help you a lot. Thank you. We'll meet again.